Hello?
Hello?
Who's this?
Who is this?
Well, who are you trying to reach?
What's your favorite scary movie?
You know, that's actually a really good question, but it's actually really vague. When you ask me what's my favorite scary movie, you got to be a little more specific than that. I mean, there's so many subgenres to the main genre. I mean, there's religious horror, there's cult horror, there's like the slasher. Do you want to talk more early 2000s, 90s, 70s? There's also international horror films. I mean, are we talking Exorcist? Or are we talking more Freddy? Or are we talking, hello? Hello? What a fucking asshole. Hey, what's up, and welcome back to another edition of Phil's Monday Movie Review. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you're here. And my recommendation for this week is Scream. Keep in mind, even though this movie is over 20 years old, actually pushing 30, I am going to spoil the hell out of this movie. So if you haven't seen Scream, this is your warning. I'm going to spoil the hell out of it, and the sequels as well. And I know that there is a recent sequel, Scream 6, that just came out. I don't think I'm going to spoil that one because that one's still pretty fresh. I think it's still in theaters too. So yeah, Scream 6, we'll lay off on the spoilers of that one. But we're here to talk about Scream 1. Released in 1996 and directed by the late, great Wes Craven, Scream tells the story about a serial killer or serial killers running loose in the town of Woodsboro. They would call their prey first, and they would toy with them and play with them and quiz them on their horror films before killing them brutally. And it's up to the local students and the local sheriffs and the news reporter to find out who the killer is and stop them before they kill more people. Pretty simple story, right? But what I really love about this film is not just the horror elements. There are some really good jump scares in this for sure. However, there is a really good story for 1996. It was pretty original because it was one of the first horror films to break the meta. Not exactly looking into the camera, fourth wall breaking, anything like that, but this was, as I mentioned, a celebration of the horror film genre. What I really like about Scream, this was a pretty fresh thing to watch back in the 90s, is that you're watching a horror film where the main characters are talking about other iconic horror films. Like, for instance, in the third act, the high school kids are watching Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. At the time, that was a brand new concept, and I really appreciated stuff like that. What really scared the shit out of me about Scream was the fact that Ghostface, this killer, is an actual human being made out of flesh and bone. If you look at other horror icons like Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, there's like a supernatural element to all this stuff. And with Ghostface, there really isn't. And that idea, that concept was very fresh, very new to me at the time. And that was what scared the shit out of me. The idea that this could happen in this world today. It could happen anytime. And that idea was terrifying. It was horrifying for me to even think about shit like that. There are so many scenes in Scream that just live rent-free in my mind after all these years. One scene in particular is the very beginning. The scene where Drew Barrymore is being stalked and harassed by the killer. I thought that entire scene was incredible. It's very masterfully crafted by Wes Craven and team. From the suspense, the tension, to Drew Barrymore's terrific acting, all the way to her unfortunate death when she gets gutted and hung on the tree. And the camera does this intense, shaky cam, close-up, zoom in onto Drew Barrymore's defeated and gutted corpse. It's a very brutal scene, very scary. Shit, that entire scene to this day is pretty fucking horrifying. That's one iconic moment in this film. There are a few for sure. But when it comes to characters, I love Neve Campbell. I think Sidney Prescott is one of my favorite final girls. She's definitely up there with Laurie Strode and Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. But I feel that one of the characters that I highly connect with, and to this day I sometimes still connect with him, is Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy. When I was in high school and I started really getting into film and cinema, I really started connecting, I guess. I started really gathering the Randy-ness in my own personality. Sometimes I still do when I get drunk with friends and I start talking about movies. I can get a little Randy-ish, but yeah, he's a great character, and it was very ballsy for Wes Craven and co. to kill off Randy in the sequel. And if I can just talk a little bit about boldness and having balls in the Scream franchise, I feel like that's just something we're not seeing in these last two films. Like, take a chance and kill off a main character already, you know? But they did that in the second one, and I thought that was insane because he's one of the core members of the first batch of the Scream movies. And yeah, that's really cool. Randy is still one of my favorite characters in this entire franchise. And another character that I like a lot is Stu, played by Matthew Lillard. He owns this role. Like he owns Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, Matthew Lillard owns this role so much. Nobody else could have played this role except for Matthew Lillard. And when it came to the reveal that him and Billy were the killers, I bought it. I thought it was very believable that these two crazies are definitely the killers. They played it very well. And still one of my favorite killers from this entire franchise. But anyways, speaking of killers, this Ghostface is probably the most clumsiest one out of all the other Ghostfaces. Yeah, there's this part where he literally just runs into the refrigerator door. I'm not sure if maybe the Ghostface mask provides like a really good field of vision, but I always thought that was kind of funny. I guess he was kind of a klutz, this Ghostface. You know, there's a lot of oopsie daisy moments with him. But yeah, well, what are you gonna do, right? There are so many things to love about Scream. For me, it's the characters, the story. A lot of it is horror, but at the same time, a lot of it is also mystery. Wes Craven finds a way to play with your logic. He finds a way to really get you thinking in this movie. He points the camera at one character because that character is wearing black boots. But the killer is also wearing black boots. Maybe that person is the killer. Oh, but wait a minute. This other person right here said something really sketchy. Maybe that person is the killer. But we don't know yet. I love seeing that in Scream. Scream is an absolute gem of a horror film. It is a horror masterpiece, and it is actually one of my favorite horror films of all time. It is a great commentary, a great celebration of the horror genre. And with all that being said, Scream is absolutely 100% cinema. And that is it for Phil's Monday Movie Review, and I want to thank you for tuning in. And Scream from 1996, have you seen it? If so, what did you think? Let me know down below. And also, which one's your favorite Scream movie? Mine goes 1, of course, but a close second would have to be Scream 2. And that's it, and be sure to tune in next week where we talk about another movie. But until then, thanks for stopping by, take care, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.